When an insurance client signs up with a broker, it's because they believe that broker gives them the best chance of getting the best deal both this year and over the long term. And if you are going to be the broker to do that, you need to have a plan. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get the best deal for your clients in the marketplace. It's worked for me. I built $1 million book of business. So let's get into it. Before I dive into the 5 levers that you're going to need to pull in order to get the best deal, let's talk about what this means. It is the most comprehensive product at the lowest price because what the customer wants is to be able to sleep well at night. They want to know that you have talked to them about their business, identified what they need, help them understand what it's going to take to get that, and then go to the market and bring it back. And preferably to do it in a way that they can afford and the lowest possible price, but still meeting those parameters of knowing what their business is, knowing what could potentially bankrupt them if it's not protected, and then helping them to protect that in a way that's affordable. So now that we've ironed that out, let me list off the 5 levers that you're going to need to pull. Okay. You're going to need to know who the right insurance companies are to approach. You're going to need to have relationships with those underwriters. You're going to need to have specialization in your industry because you're going to need to be able to answer underwriting questions and get around issues. You're also going to need to present the deal strategically so that you can create leverage. That's the key thing. And it takes the first 4 issues in order to create leverage in the open market. So let's dig into the first one, knowing who the right insurance companies are. Let's say that you got a service provider for the intellectually and developmentally disabled. I'm going to do that one because that's something I work on all the time. If you take that risk to Travelers in their small business department, they're going to say, we don't have an appetite for that. And what good does it do for the customer to say, oh, hey, I went and talked to Travelers if Travelers was never going to insure that thing in the first place? So you first need to know who the key insurance companies are in that marketplace. Because if you're barking up the wrong tree, you're just never going to get competitive products back. Now, that gets into the second component. You can know who the key companies are, but if you don't have a contract and or if you don't have a relationship with the underwriter and they won't respond to you, you're not going to get anything competitive back. So it's not just enough to know that, hey, it's Philadelphia, it's Irwin Siegel, it's NSM Care Providers. The people at those companies need to like you and trust you. And you build that trust over time by being transparent with them, by writing them business, and by helping them make money. I'm going to tell you, the number one way to make friends in business is to help other people make money. If you lose them money, if you bring them bad accounts, if you're a pain to deal with, nobody will deal with you. If you write a lot of accounts, if you're easy to deal with, and the accounts you bring them are very profitable, you'll get whatever you want. So that's a key part of delivering the best deal to new clients is that you have in the past developed relationships with those insurance companies to prove you know what you're doing. Now, this gets into the third thing, which is industry specialization. I'm going to tell you, it helps a lot to bring the best deals to the table if you know what you should be looking for. So let me give some examples just out of my own personal life. So I work a lot with home health and service providers for the intellectually and developmentally disabled and assisted living. And I'm going to tell you that it's really important to have the right controls. It's really important that companies structure themselves correctly so that it can fit within an appetite guide. So, for example, I have talked to people that have both a home health agency and an assisted living facility. And the issue with this is that the companies that like home health agencies don't typically want to insure assisted living facilities. Now, you can go to the companies that will insure assisted living facilities, but they're not typically going to offer the quality of coverage terms that you can get from the companies that insure home health agencies. It's probably going to be excess and surplus plus lines with claims made and retentions, whereas here it can be in the admitted market with no deductibles. So when I'm approaching an account, first off, I know those things on the onset. So I can talk to people about what the insurance marketplace looks like and prepare them for that. But I also know that if I've got an account that's going to be a problem to place, it's going to be a real pain for my underwriters. And at the end of the day, the customer may not even want to buy it. So industry specialization is not just about knowing how the business works and knowing what the marketplace looks like. It's knowing how to sort out the good players from the bad players. It's knowing how to say, hey, this one hasn't had consistent coverage over the last 5 years. Those are a pain. Or this one doesn't have the greatest controls in place, or they have really high risk work, so that you sort out the accounts that you know your underwriters aren't going to want on the front end and only focus on the best. See, that works for you in a couple of levels. One, if your goal is to develop strong relationships with underwriters, you should focus on bringing them the deals they're going to want the most. And by pushing away the clients that they don't want and only bringing the ones that they do want, they see that over time, which means when you do bring a deal, you are going to get a much better deal with much better coverage terms and pricing from the underwriter when you bring them a deal, because they know you only bring them the best ones, which is going to set you apart from other brokers that bring them anything that they can find because they're desperate. That's how you stand out, is by having specialization within that industry, so you bring in the best in class to the right underwriters, and that builds trust over time. Now, the fourth part is you have to present the deal strategically. When you're going to the underwriter, you have to be able to explain to them how they're going to be able to win the account. The fastest way to have your submission pushed to the bottom of the pile is for the underwriter to look at it and say, there's no way I'm ever going to win. You have to get over that mental hurdle, because they've got 100 applications to look at. They're never going to be able to get to all of them. They only want to work on the ones they're going to write, which means you have to be able to clearly demonstrate that this customer is going to work with you. If the underwriter can deliver on the certain coverage terms that you need, and you can clearly explain the risk and any issues with it. And see, here's an amazing thing. If you present something to an underwriter that is a target class of business, you've developed trust with them over time because you know that you bring the best stuff. And there's a little bit of hair on it. Maybe there's some claims issues. Maybe it's a short timeline. But you have delivered consistently over time. You're going to get more of the 50-50 balls than the person that does not deliver over time. So, presenting the deal strategically is about playing to the underwriter's self-interest, which is they want to write business too. That's really important to them. Focus on bringing them the stuff that they want. And then over time, that's going to help you present better terms to all your other customers too. Now, when you've accomplished those first four things, this is all going to help you create leverage in the marketplace, because if you have strong relationships with multiple underwriters, the thing that is going to be best for your customers, if you can bring multiple underwriters to the table that want to win their account, because that's when they compete with each other. But you cannot get multiple underwriters to the table before they trust you, which is why you have to know who the companies are, develop underwriter relationships with industry specialization, and present the deal strategically. It's all for the purpose of creating competition in the marketplace, which is how you deliver results to your clients and your prospects, which is how you win deals and retain them over the long term. And see, this is why it's so helpful to be a specialist or to have a niche that you dominate, is because when you are a generalist, you're going to have a hard time knowing which carrier is going to want to be a player in which situation and what all their underwriting rules are. And if they don't see your face often enough as an underwriter, they're just never going to get excited about engaging with you. There has to be consistent volume. It has to be obvious that you're trying to drive business with them. So it's always in your best interest to pick a lane and then drive it into the dirt, because it's going to, one, make you more recognizable with clients, but also more recognizable with underwriters. And when those two things come together, that's when you really win as a broker. All right. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please hit like and subscribe. It helps other people like you find the content. If you've got questions or comments, drop 'em below. I'd love to hear from you, or you can message me on LinkedIn. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please go build something great.